So welcome to this third class of this 3-week session of painting in all mediums. So some of you are doing watercolor and some of you are doing acrylic. The first thing that I want to show in this class is a critique that I did of Pam's apple, I think. And I did ask permission to Pam if this was okay that I shared her work and her critique. I would never show it without asking first. So don't be afraid to submit your work and think that I'm going to show it to everybody and you don't want to. So I'm going to share my screen. Share this. Put here, put this here. And make this a little bit bigger so that you guys can see. All right, let's see. Can I do 200? Nah, not a good idea. So 150 it is. All right, so here on the left-hand side is the painting that Pam had done of an apple. And this was the apple done with red and green. So those were the two colors that were supposed to be used, and there's a little bit of white that was used as well. So the first of all, this apple looks very nice to me. It's got a lot of nice, brush strokes that makes it very interesting. We can see where the stem goes in. There's a little light here. It's darker on the right-hand side where the apple is in the shade or the shadow, and lighter on the left where the apple is in the light. And we can see the shadow on the table that's right here on the right of the apple. There are a few things that I mentioned to Pam, and I will walk through this with you guys. So first, this line here, the line that's in the back where the background meets the table, it should be straight. So see here, this line here, when I straighten this line and I make it equal to the other line, it already looks better. See here? So I made these changes with the computer, so it's not necessarily exactly the right green or the right color, but it's an equivalent tone, so it gives the idea anyway. So this is something that's easy to see, easy for you to look out for when you're doing your paintings. Something like this, when a line's supposed to be straight, make sure it's straight. And then the next change that I suggested is this shadow here on the table. It's very unlikely that the shadow starts here on the left. Whoops, on the left, if it's going to be straight in this area. So it probably starts right here close to the apple and goes this way. So I suggested to remove this portion of the shadow and also have the shadow end, before it reaches the line in the back, so that we now have a shadow that's believable. Here the shadow touches the line in the back, so we would expect the shadow to continue on the wall. And it also comes forward. If it comes, if it comes forward like this, then it should probably continue down here. But it goes right. So cropping the shadow, these are little things, but they make a big difference, and then the apple reads better. And on the last change, now I'm getting very picky because the apple looks very nice. I just suggested to put even a little bit more light on the lid side of the apple and tone down this darker area here. See here in the back, I'm happy to see that, through observation, Pam, you were able to see this part is darker than the part in the front. But I don't believe that it was quite this dark. So I suggested to tone it down and add a little bit lighter, lighter area in this area and the speckle of light, which I don't know where it was. I just imagined it. So from here to here, it just adds a little bit more to the roundness. So those are minute things. The other thing that I didn't do, but I should have done, is when the shadow is close to the object, it's usually much sharper edge, the edge of the shadow. But when it goes away from the object over here, the shadow should be very smooth, almost like completely transitional to whatever the surface is. So I made it a little bit too sharp, but that would have been something that I should have suggested that I didn't. So is there any questions on this critique? Yeah, Faye.
Yeah, you actually lightened it, the critique, using the computer, right?
Yeah, I did with the computer.
Yeah. So she was to do the shadow and take out that shadow that's not right in the foreground.
Right.
How's she removing that?
Well, that's a good question. Well, what I can tell you is, see this nice color that's in the foreground? This color is red and there is white. There is a little bit of green, but there's white in it. And this is done in acrylic. So with acrylic, you can go over it and lighten it easily. But maybe, Pam, would you like to say how you did it? You need to unmute yourself, Pam.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was trial and error. I mean, I took the alizarin crimson and
you want to show us?
Yeah, I'll take it out here. Put everything in a book. Let's see. Oh, here it is.
Well, so Pam used to be a teacher, so that's why she's so well organized. Put everything in a book.
Well, I like your comments. See, I have a book. I keep it all together. So this is what after making the changes, that's what I did. But I think, yeah, I took it and I could tell I added white. I think I added a little bit of white, but I made it watery, and I covered it first to see if it would work.
Yes.
My hardest part was really fixing this part of the wall, because when I did the apple originally, I had it on a board, so the shadow was on the board. So when I painted it, I thought this is great, but then the end result looked awful, as you can tell, because this was all, no one would know that anyway. But I think a lot of it was just a little bit of white. I think I did, because when I look at it now, I think that's what I did, a little
Put it
white.
closer to your face so we can see. Yeah. It's nice.
Thanks.
All right. So let's see. Is there any other questions on this critique that I showed you? I mean, these are things that are pretty, some of these are pretty obvious. Some of these are not so obvious. And I like it when you share your artwork with me so I can indicate, how to make it a little bit better, a little bit stronger. And I don't necessarily explain like a million things to change. I just address, the most obvious few things.
One question I have is on the shadow. If I'm painting, I had it in the corner of my bureau. So it was the paper ends where the object is resting on. Yes. So let's say if the shadow, like here, let's say there was a shadow that came out this way. Yeah. How far do I extend it? Because my bureau ends. So maybe it's more and I won't know. Is there like a rule of thumb, like you take the object or?
Actually, you need to paint what you see.
Oh.
So okay. If the bureau ends, well, you have to make it end on your painting and then, paint the other part that comes down.
Okay.
The front of the bureau.
Right. Okay, I'll do that.
An added challenge.
Okay.
All right. So for the next part of this class, I wanted to give you a chance to either continue painting and finish a painting you have started in class or previously, or do another painting. So now if you did, maybe last class you did the pear lit from the right hand side and you finished it as a homework, well maybe now you can do it lit from the left hand side. So kind of like see how different it could be. What I will be doing during this class is I'll be continuing my painting of the pear. So see how the shadow continues on the wall. When it meets the wall, so the shadow is on this surface here. When it meets the wall, it usually changes direction. So this is something that you can set up and observe for yourself how the shadow plays. That makes it the easiest to see how it goes. But I never really finished this, so I'm going to work on this. But I'm not going to do a demonstration of it. I mean, I will. I can point my camera towards my painting, but this session is actually for you guys. So if you are at a point where you're a little stuck, now's the time to ask your question, and I can help you with whatever work you're working on. So
I wanted to know what colors you used on your pear painting. Is it black and green?
Oh, that's a very good question, Jean.
And brown, right?
I actually, the colors that I use, I'm going to show you, are the colors that I tell the students to buy. So titanium white,
Yep.
primary yellow, alizarin crimson, and ultramarine blue. Haha.
So you use blue and green. Blue, green, and brown.
So to make this green, I used the blue and the yellow.
Yep.
In this area, I added a little white. In this area, I used the green that I made, and the complementary color to green is red.
Red.
So I added a little bit of alizarin crimson to it.
Okay.
Created this nice, beautiful kind of olive green.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And in the back, I have, I might have used blue with maybe just a little bit of the red and white, so that it's not really blue. It's more like a lilac color.
Okay. Yeah.
And down here, I think that what I used to make this is I made a yellow ochre with a mix of a lot of yellow and a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, makes a nice yellow ochre. And then I added some white to it, or some of this blue in it. Yeah.
The colors are beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. Well, so I was going to continue working on this, and I invite you guys also to work on your own project. Now I can stop the recording so you can show me what you're going to work on. Stopping the recording. I want to tell you a little bit about the upcoming class. So this is the last of our 3-week class. And in my next session, I will have the painting classes on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. and at 7 p.m. like right now. No drawing classes on Mondays. And the session will start on July 7th. So we have a few weeks off and we'll go through 4th of July. And then after that, I will start the new session. It will be a 3-week session. In this session, it will be come to class and paint your own subject matter. So maybe you have a photo of, you know, that you've always wanted to paint, or maybe you want to come to class and finish something that you started where you're stuck. So it'll be more like a studio class than any kind of organized class. I will not be presenting any new material, but I invite you to join the class and paint with me. I will be painting too. It will be 1 hour class for 3 weeks, and it's still free. But I think it could be fun. And I was telling the students in yesterday's drawing class that preparing for these classes have been creating a lot of on the brush. So the brush rents the space from the national parks, and the national parks are talking about reopening in July. So the brush will likely reopen in July.
Nice.
Now, that's nice. And so in Chez Claire Art School will, I mean, the space will be open, but I will probably not start the classes until September. And when I restart the classes in the studio, I will limit the number of people per class to 4 students per class. So this way, each student would have their own table, which is a large table, and that will automatically set up for social distancing. But I would not want anyone who's not comfortable to come to the studio if you don't feel like it. I do understand until we have medication or a vaccine, there's still a high risk of anyone catching it. When painting my pear, I tend to use a large brush. By using a large brush, Sylvia, it kind of takes me away from being too precise. Because I tend to be very precise on my brush strokes. Oh yeah, I meant to show you a painting that I've done. Wanted to show you guys a painting that I've done, and I just framed it.
Oh, that's
pretty.
beautiful. Is that Essex, Claire? Is that Essex, Massachusetts?
Yes, it is. It's actually
Oh,
it's Little River in Gloucester.
Oh, Gloucester. Okay.
gorgeous.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. It's a demonstration that I did actually, and
Gorgeous.
came out good. I like this scene.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And as you can tell, I like the blue and the lime green.
Yes. The reflection is just so pretty.
Thank you.
And I love how you treated the grass. Very
Thank you
nice.
here. See the grass here, all of the grass, I just painted, without all the little blades, and I only indicated a few of the blades here in the front, and I varied. Some blades are very lime green light, and some of the blades are darker, and some of them are a little bit more brown. If you look a little more closely.
Love it.
So the secret to having a nice green grass is to have some reds in the grass. That grass vibrate. So this here is kind of like a little bit of a rust color. So I made this by adding a little bit of my green into my red, and it gave me this. So it makes it very harmonious.
It is beautiful.
You.
It really is gorgeous.
Thank you. All right, back to this. I think that the table is a little boring on this painting, but I'm gonna work on this pear. So this pear has some red on top here. Even though it's plastic, it's got some nice little speckles. So I'm gonna try and add this red. I like that. I think it adds a very nice dimension to everything. Maybe I should Try to go like this. I don't know. What's wrong? Ah, this is working. So this is similar. You guys can't see it, but I can. All right. This nice red. So at any time, if you have any questions, let me know. I can tell the red that's on this pear was made combination of green and red. I'm starting by making the green and I'm adding some red to it. Get a nice brown. One thing that I've noticed too is when I paint with the tip of my brush, I tend to paint more precisely. So I tend to, when I don't want to be too precise, I paint with the side of my brush. Helps me to be a little bit more loose. Sometimes one of my girlfriend and I, we just get together on FaceTime and we paint together. She's in her studio, I'm in my studio.
Oh, that's fun.
And I've just realized now that I'm changing the shadow. The shadow's on the wrong side. That's not gonna work. I should erase what I just did now. That's one way to do it. Change things around. Move this. That's a great
You
thing
have a
with-
bird.
It's not me, it's someone else, someone else's bird.
Someone that has a bird. It's so cute.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Out of paint. So classes in July will be more like this. So I'm painting, you guys are painting. Whenever someone has a question, then you can ask your question. And at the beginning of the class and at the end of the class, we can share what each person has been working on. Of course, when we're in the studio and we do class like this, then we can see the progress, everybody's progress. We don't have to wait until someone shows it on the camera.
True.
And you know, some people don't necessarily like to talk on the camera, so it's less intimidating if we're in a studio. You're just at your desk and people can just look. But at least it gives us an option.
It's inspirational too when you're with other artists.
Yes,
You get inspired.
I find. I've started producing for the artist show at the brush.
Oh,
We're going to have a show in September and October.
oh, nice.
It's June and July. but it didn't happen this year. So I started producing, and I've started producing abstracts for that show.
Oh, nice.
I'll show you one. It's right here. This is a small little one. I think it's done. Just with very warm colors.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, I love the colors.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That-
Yeah.
That's one thing I've never tried is abstract.
Yeah.
I guess it has to
Really
do with shape and color, right?
It has to do with design, shape, color, form.
I like the texture you get too.
Yeah. I painted with a palette knife, so that's why it's very textury.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. And as you can see, it's blue and orange. Those are colors that I like doing.
uh-huh.
But I'm working on a much bigger one, a few much bigger ones, 16 by 20.
Ooh,
And I have some nice texture going there. So if you were coming to my studio, I could show you all these things, but right now it's a little bit more difficult. Besides, I can't show everything because then there will be no surprise.
that's true. You gave us a sneak peek.
Yes, it's like a little sneak peek.
Claire, have you sold that painting that I love? It's Christine.
I know it's Christine. Would you, the guy?
The guy.
I haven't sold the guy yet. Are you still thinking about it?
I am.
Oh, it's a sign.
Oh my God. I am. I love him.
You know, I mean, when I showed it to him, he wanted to buy it, but then he backed out.
Then everything happened.
Oh no, that was in the fall.
Yeah.
What guy painting was that, Claire? What guy?
It was
He was the one with
the
the
piano.
player.
It was what?
He was the piano player at the Blue Tillet.
Oh,
And it was so expressive.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Well, let me see if I can find it on my computer.
It was in.
So sometimes when I paint, I use two brushes. This way it can have one brush with one color and the other brush with another color.
That's smart.
Like here, I have the grain on this brush. I want to work on the background, so I'm going to use another brush to create this background color. It's kind of a funny color, actually. So if I'm thinking brown with a little green, I mean red with a little green. A lot of white. Yeah. this way, you can do wet into wet. Gives these. It's a nice effect. And then using my other brush again, go back into it. Have some more fun. Oh, I can't believe it's almost over already. It goes so fast.
It does.
When you finish that, will you send it to us so we can see the finished product? Drawing
Oh,
artwork.
I guess I have to finish it now then.
And you know what would be good? Would be a lesson on shadows.
Ah,
Yes, I like that pear painting. It's very pretty. The colors are very pleasing.
yes. And the reason the colors are pleasing is because it's very harmonious. See, I put even more red into my green here,
Yes.
and it gives a nice darker color, but it makes it very harmonious. A shadow is always more pleasing if what you put in the shadow is the actual color of the object and its complementary color. So the complementary of red, of green is red. So it automatically works really well to put some red in the green. It reads correct. It reads like it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm painting wet into wet, so I'm trying to avoid the sharp edges. And then the speckle of light always looks best if next to darker colors. All right, so this is the pear. It's almost done, but I guess since Sue said when you finish it, I guess it's not yet finished, is it? I remember I did a little bit of blue on top, just to respond to that background. Now I'm getting it dirty. This is better. All right.
Job, I like it.
Thank you.
Excellent.
See how the shadow here, it's not a very sharp edge on the shadow.
Right.
Shadow on the wall is very rarely a sharp edge because it's away from the object. And see how all the brush strokes, if I show a little close up, all the brush strokes,
Yeah.
like for nothing sharp, hardly anywhere, and just makes for a loose painting.